Senator Kruger, I want to focus in specifically on school aid. The Senate Democrats' resolution basically accepted $1.4 billion in cuts, thereabouts, from the governor, and the Assembly came in with a proposal restoring $600 million. Can you tell me the status of those negotiations, specifically as it relates to school aid? Have you come closer to the Assembly? Are they closer to where you are?
Through you, Madam President, Senator Flanagan, when we had our DRP prior to this budget, it was our position that we would offer no mid-year cuts to school aid, and we accomplished that without the support of the other side of the aisle. Now we were faced with the governor's cuts to school aids, which were draconian. And once again, we're charged with the responsibility of mitigating those draconian cuts. And that is one of the battles that are waging right now. And to say anything more than the fact, and notwithstanding my esteemed colleague saying that I'm not aware of what's going on, needless to say that we are deeply engaged in protecting both school aid and looking with very keen eyes in reducing property tax at the same time.
Madam President, thank you, Senator Kruger. On the bill.
Senator Flanagan on the bill.
Senator Kruger, I just want to point out, fortunately, I would agree with Senator DeFrancisco, because not only are you wrong on the facts, but now you're revising history. Senator Skelos and this conference were the first group to stand up and say there should be absolutely no mid-year school cuts, period. Others came along, including you, and ultimately that's what was happening. And that's what did happen. That was a good thing for school districts and for property taxpayers. I voted for the DRP. I voted for the DRP, along with many of my colleagues, acted responsibly, offered alternatives, came out with a real plan, the bulk of which was ultimately adopted by this House, with the Assembly, and with the governor. So please, if we're going to have a discussion about the facts, get them straight. Now, as it relates to this bill, I asked the question about school aid because now we have timing problems. Now we have legitimate considerations, and school districts don't know what's going on. Unfortunately, I think most of them said, we'll probably assume no more money from the state budget. At this point, that's probably a safe bet. But I listened to what you were saying, and I'm very happy to know that you know so much about the state of Michigan. I wish we had as much knowledge about the state of New York and what's transpiring here. I have been here for long enough to know that we don't have to do an extender for a week. We could do it for a day. And I don't believe for 1 second that if we were to vote no on this, and I'm going to vote no, and I have voted no, that that's an irresponsible act. There have been plenty of times and plenty of opportunities for real negotiations in public, and yes, will there be private negotiation? I understand that. And no one's naive to that, and I don't think Senator DeFrancisco is naive to that either. But at least get out some information, at least get something out. School districts can plan. Maybe we should be talking about extending their time for their school budget vote because they don't have the right information, because there's nothing forthcoming from you. There's no conference committees. Now, we're going to have an amendment on the next bill having to do with employee reserve funds in school districts. That's something that should have happened. That's something that's in your Senate resolution. That's something I asked the governor in writing and on the phone to his staff to put into this bill today, and they didn't do it. So please, if we're going to have legitimate discussions about where we're going, I think it's fair to look at where we've been. And frankly, we've been nowhere. And that's the problem. There should be much more open dialogue, and if we have to stay here every day, that's what we should be doing. So I don't mind having a debate. I don't mind having a debate on the legitimate facts, but we should be having that discussion so all the residents of the state of New York and the property taxpayers, most importantly, can get a real glimpse of what's going on here.